All right, Richard, let's get to some quick hitters, our version, I guess, of the big finish. Shout out to PTI on that. The WNBA, as a media property, without Cahillane, perhaps a large chunk of the back half of the season, what do you still make of that as a media venture?
For the WNBA's sake, I hope Cahillane gets healthy, and let's say she plays in the playoffs. That's sort of what you want, assuming Indiana makes one of the final seeds. Again, like the Caitlin Clark story viewership-wise, it's not really that. It's not complicated or tough, and I know both of you guys know this. There's no one currently in sports today who has the impact on viewership that Caitlin Clark does. She is in our current parlance, Tiger Woods and Mike Tyson, like during his time. Maybe LeBron James sort of at certain parts of his career, and certainly Jordan back then. So she 1x, 2x's, whatever you want to, 4x, whatever the number is in terms of the viewership. But the viewership is up, like in terms of interest with the league, independent of Caitlin Clark as well.
Baseball's media future.
Oh, Rob Manfred. Can I be like Bryce Harper and just go off on Rob Manfred just for fun? Get the f*** out of the clubhouse, Rob.
Would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that one.
I mean, interestingly enough, the sport regionally in the places like people care about it, it's awesome. Like it's like the viewership numbers, some of the regionals, like if the team is good, are phenomenal. I think Manfred's strategy, if he could pull it off, of obviously getting all the team rights as possible, is a great one. But I don't see the Yankees or the Dodgers, and some of the big power teams giving their rights up. I think that would be financially foolish for them. And then lastly, on the ESPN issue, which I think is, has been like written about by a lot of people and an interesting one. I think it's in both parties' interest to have some kind of relationship. MLB was foolish in sort of like going out there to public and saying, ESPN's diminished. They don't have as many households. Yeah, no kidding. But you're not the NFL, guys. Like, you're just not. You don't have the leverage that other leagues do. So I think they'd be smart. I don't necessarily think Sunday Night Baseball has to happen, but I think they should have some kind of formal partnership with ESPN where ESPN will continue to use all of their different touch points to promote the sport. Baseball is still, to me, Mollie and Austin, an excellent sport to have because they provide so much inventory and an entertaining inventory over the course of many, many months. But I do think when it comes to the postseason, I think ultimately the big brands and major teams from major cities, that's what drives the sport when it comes to having, a place really give you big money for things like the World Series or the ALCS, NLCS.
All right, last one to get you out of here. F1, UFC, still technically out there. Is Apple a good home for F1, and where do you think UFC ends up?
Austin would agree. I feel like Apple has shown you that they're interested in this just given the F1 movie, which has done really, really well for them. I have no doubt they'll throw a crazy amount of money in it. And if they let is it Sky, right? If they let the people who are already like producing it, like do their thing, then it should be fine. Then they're essentially just nothing more than a distributor. Maybe they have their own F1 studio show or something like that, or shoulder programming. But that makes sense to me. Like that sport to me is very much like it fits into me as a streamer sport. It is like it's affluent, high demos. People who have money seem to be into it. And I feel like you'd be willing to pay for an Apple TV subscription to watch that in the same way you're willing to pay for prestige television like Severance or whatever else you're watching on there. So that fits to me. UFC is a tricky one. I've done no reporting on this. I don't have any insight. I should never admit that as a podcast guest, but I'm being honest with you guys. So I would just, my only thought there is just what I would have predicted for the WWE, and that's multiple partners. That's I think if you're UFC, especially that group has already proven that, I think you want to try to get dollar figures from multiple places. And I think because of the demos on that, young men, right? Like, I don't know if you know it's better than me, Mollie. I'm sure they outsized 18 to 35 male big time when it comes to that sport. That's a lot of discretionary income when it comes to advertisers and places like that. If you're a 25-year-old bro who's not married and you don't got a lot of responsibility, and you have a little money, whether it's from your parents or your job or whatever, that's your sport or it's one of your sports and you're willing to pay for it. So I would think they go multiple partners in some form, whether ESPN's a part of that. I really have no insight. The only thing I would say, and this is no genius take by me, is, people in Bristol want young male demo. Like, that is important to them. The question is going to be how much, what's the dollar figure, and are they willing to go to whatever that dollar figure is to get the young demo that UFC provides?